Hello, my friends. So, we are back, obviously, with another arc. Um, this one is called Guardians of the Veil by Miss Rochelle Pieterse. And if I said your last name wrong, I am so sorry. Um, However, this was promoted as like a YA fantasy, so I'm cautiously optimistic. Um, the information I was able to glean off of like first look. This has 30 chapters and an epilogue. It is 421 pages and it comes out on April 1st. Am I going to post it on April 1st? We're going to see. Hopefully, I can get it because I also have another book that's also coming out on April 1st. So, anywho, um, the post that Rochelle has made, I've been eating up. She's done a really good job of promoting it on her page. Um, and her dedication is to her son. I hate it. I hate it. No, I don't hate the dedication. I hate that all of the indie dedications have made me feel some type of way. Okay. Okay. Um, so, without further ado, let's get to fucking reading. Oh, she just put her son in this book. I actually wasn't expecting that. But that's really cute. Hello, friends. We're still reading Guardians of the Veil. I'm not entirely sure exactly what percentage I'm on, but I just got finished last night with part one because it's divided evenly into three parts. So I'm on chapter 11, part two. And the only thing that's kind of going through my mind right now is I'm not having to, but I'm looking at this through the eyes of like fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade Nuggie. Because she would have ate this shit up. 100%. Adult Nuggie, now that I've kind of expanded my horizons, I probably would not have picked this up randomly at a bookstore. Yes, I know I signed up for this. But I also have not read a YA fantasy in a while. I have not read a YA sci-fi in a while. Okay? Okay. And I think that was what was most intriguing to me was that, oh, here's this book. I have not picked up one of these kinds of books in a while. Let's see how it comes out. Because I used to be really big sci-fi, fantasy, like in the YA sections. Obviously, because that's the age range. And to quote another author, because I think when I was doing In Your Court, when I was reading that book, Elena from Eternal is the Night had like an author meet and greet. And she was like, when I first was starting to write that story, the romantasy genre was not what it was now, because either you had smut or you had YA, which was like barely any. She was like, I didn't want either one. I wanted plot and, excuse me, and like fighting scenes with the romance part of it. And then she was like, well, Sarah J. Maas kind of led the way to a lot of us going that middle ground instead of just either your smut or your YA. And the reason I say it like that is because this is strictly YA. And I love that. I have not picked up a strictly YA book in God knows how long. And not having, but looking at this through the lens of a younger version of myself, again, I would have eaten it up. And I am eating it up. It's not what I'm used to. Because obviously I've read Fourth Wing. I read Eternal as the Night. I recently read Silver and Gold. Like, those stories are definitely for like adults. This, if you had a child from like age 10 to age 15, I'd recommend this if we're getting them started in fantasy or sci-fi. The reason I say that is because there's not a whole lot of fighting scenes so far. Again, I'm only 11 chapters in. There's not a whole lot of fighting scenes. There's obviously not going to be any romance. I say obviously because my interpretation of YA is just strictly like friend zone, maybe a little bit of kissing, maybe. But there's not any of that yet. Does adult Nuggy think that these kids need to have parental figures right now? Absolutely. Because why are we 14 and chasing after aliens? But I digress. It's like, to put this into perspective, it's like going back and reading Percy Jackson or Harry Potter again. It's like, why are we sending these kids on life or death missions here? They're kids. And I think that's part of the reason why I keep saying that I have to read this as a younger version of myself, because adult version, I'd be looking at this all over going, why are we doing this? You should have ran. You should have gone to your mother or your father and been like, there's a scary laboratory over there. Help. Or Miss Rochelle keeps going, they trust each other. They have their trust in each other. Ma'am, respectfully, at the age of 14, if I found something scary, I would have ran. I would have ran. Love you bitches, but I'm out. I need to go home to my mommy. But that's where I'm sitting at with this book. Thinking of it as a younger version of myself, I'm eating it up. Because I like to ramble. I don't know if I've already said this, but it's easy to read. It's easy to follow along. There's not a whole lot of like jumping out at you gore. There's like some kind of implied, but it's not like, oh my god, you can see his leg bone popping out of his leg and there's blood everywhere and he's about to die. No. So I leave you with this. I want to say I'm roughly 33% in. I say that because, it's in parts. It's equal parts of 10 chapters each part. So I'm just going to call it 33% and move on with my life. And yeah. The Glade of Turning Leaves sounds pretty damn interesting.
Okay. Hi. I'm knee deep in chapter 11. Rochelle, what are you about to do to Tom? What did Tom do to you, Rochelle? I think we need to be asking our indie authors this. What did these characters do to you to make them go through whatever you're about to put them through? I don't think Tom deserved this. I also keep forgetting that they're 14. But I really like how you phrased this. I want nothing from you, but the forest remembers those who act. And if that's not a bomb-ass line, I don't know what is. Because that can be said for so much. Like, nobody wants anything from you, but how you choose to act about a certain situation is what is important. And even like adult me, that's hitting a little too hard. So, fear flickered behind his eyes. What do you have to do it, Tom? Hi, I recorded a whole segment and realized I was muted. Lord. Okay. We're still reading Guardians of the Veil. I can only assume what percentage I'm on. Again. Because I'm now at a point where I'm like, I cannot request an EPUB. I probably could. I just would feel really weird about it. Anyway. But I can't tell what percentage I'm on, so I'm only going to assume I'm at like 66%. I have 10 chapters left. Okay. My only real critique, and I think because with these arcs, I've come to learn that the formatting doesn't not necessarily need to meet my standards for it to still be a good read. Because I have to remind myself that these are still not released. We still have, like, I could have been given a version, but the release is going to look completely different. So as long as I can read it, I'm fine. Anyway. So the formatting is not necessarily an issue for me. I think what an issue for me is right now is that these kids are sounding older than they're supposed to be. My brothers in Christ, you are 14. We sound like we're 24. And again, this may be because she gave me a version that wasn't completely changed yet. Like, she may have gone through some edits since then. I'm not sure. But that's my gripe right now, is that it feels like these characters are older than they're supposed to be. Renee, it's just a sci-fi. Yeah. This is my first sci-fi that I've picked up in a while. Okay? So I could have missed also where it was like, we're moving over here. I could have. I've just been beep bopping down the road. But that's my gripe. It's not like, it is going to, I think, knock it down a star for me. Because the story is still enjoyable. It's just that one little thing. That's it. That's it. Oh, and why would you do that to Isla? I raved about, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes ago that we didn't have any gory scenes. It's still not a gory scene, but like, Rochelle, why would you hurt that baby? I'm acting like I was about to say, I'm acting like she has a choice. She did have a choice. She wrote the damn characters. Listen, my brain's all over the place. But yeah, I've got 10 chapters left. I could finish it tonight. I could finish it tomorrow. Who knows? So, I did it. We have completed Guardians of the Veil. And this one, I feel like I'm just gonna go right into the review. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have a lot of thoughts. So, firstly, a big major thank you to Miss Rochelle for letting me read it early. I have not written my review yet. That's happening next. But I just finished it and I needed to word vomit, right? So definitely going to be a 3.75. And there's two major factors to this. One, it felt very this definitely felt geared toward a younger audience because there was a lot of lessons in it. And to me as a grown adult, that felt a little preachy. Not in a bad way. But at the same time, I was like, okay, we are learning lessons. Great, fantastic. Let's move on. But as a younger kid who's not quite grasping that yet, I wouldn't have seen it. The other thing is, I think she gave me and I want to say this because, and I mentioned this earlier, it felt like we were two different times. It almost felt like she gave me a version of the story that she was still working on updating. I say this because there are times where Malcolm wasn't involved at all. It would say that there were 4 of them when there were 5. And it definitely felt like at times the kids were older than they were supposed to be. Because at the beginning, we were like, hey, we're 14, somewhere in the middle. It was yeah, we're teenagers. Cool. The reason why I think that it was in the middle of an edit is because it was halfway in the middle of part 2 that I noticed it. That could be the final version. If it is the final version, it is what it is. But that's where I stand on that one. Because the story was good. For a YA sci-fi fantasy, I would have eaten that up as a child. But as a grown adult, I'm finding it, okay, we are preaching to the children to trust in one another, to have respect for one another, to not carry so much dead weight. So, I do think it was still very good. I think I may have gotten caught in an edit. And if I didn't, then that's fine. But that's what I noticed, is that there were times where a character was not included, or a character dropped off in the middle of something and then came back later. So I'm gonna go sleep and try not to think about aliens.